We are back. The NSE has just closed. There's been no impact with regards to turnover. This is in line with what has happened today. The breaking news being that the CS, Head of Treasury, has been summoned to see the DCIO. There's also been an issuance of an arrest warrant for him, for the PS in the same department, as well as the head of external borrowing in that department. This is certainly unexpected. We will wait to see what happens tomorrow on the stock exchange, remembering that our market is about 70% foreign traded, and such unexpected news tends to have negative tentacles or negative sentiment for the market. But we will await to see what the accusations are, having taken note that the CS has presented himself to the DCIO and to be a voluntary witness. Let us see how that happens. We come back to our conversation for today. What is happening in the fintech space? How can you be part of it? And what investable opportunities are there? We are hosting Mr. Kennedy Mbita. He is the Africa Regional Head of SC Ventures at Standard Chartered. Welcome back, Kennedy. Just before we took a break, we were trying to understand the interest of SC Ventures with regards to fintech opportunities. So are you coming across as a corporate buyer on behalf of Standard Chartered and looking for opportunities that enhance the value proposition for Standard Chartered as a bank, or are you just open to investing in any particular sectors? What sectors are of interest?
If I understand you correctly, I mean, in a sense, we are a business unit within Standard Chartered Bank. And we are looking at fintech as a way to catalyze our banking business. And also because we are aware that the banking sector and the financial services sector is going to change going forward. How it's going to change is actually not very clear, which what makes the future fun, because everybody can plan.
I like your optimism.
You know,
you love uncertainty.
Yeah, you know, so we do invest, and when we do invest as a unit of Standard Chartered Bank. So SC Venture within Standard Chartered Bank is going to have a shareholding in the fintechs that we have, and that's still part and parcel of the entire Standard Chartered group. Of course, our investments might be we might be co-investors with the owners or the sponsors of that particular project, which brought it to the Series B level.
Okay.
You know, so we are investing, but not on the not as a capital market play, but as an infrastructure for financial services play.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So you're looking for anything that enhances a value proposition in the financial services space.
Yes.
Mostly. Now,
the financial services space is we define quite loosely, you know, because we don't just want to provide a banking channel, you know, or a gateway. You know, we want to get integrated into the way society runs. So a lot of people find it odd. Like I was talking to a company outside Kenya today, and then I was talking to them about farming, you know, and how farmers get their crops and how they monitor, how they make sure that there's an off-taker for the produce that they produce, and how they track the value and who the middlemen are in that sector. And they said that they thought that I should be talking about technology, you know, blockchain, Bitcoin, AI, MI.
Okay.
And I said, you know, that's not exactly what I'm looking at. There's another area that I'm looking at, looking in the medical space in terms of how value moves between the producers, the manufacturers, the distributors, the pharmacies, and the hospitals that take up this medicine.
Okay.
You know, how do we make that entire chain efficient using technology?
So you're literally just following the money and trying to see what touch points would typically be used for the physical value chain for movements of money, and trying to see how you can invest in fintech to be able to do that in a better way.
Basically go back to basic principles. You know, what is money? You know, a store of value. So where is value being stored? And the fact that we're able to digitize processes and break them down into much smaller pieces, you find that you can actually now identify value at points where you couldn't identify them initially. Way of looking at it. And therefore, when you encapsulate value at those different catch points, you know, how can you fund the gaps between those? That's what we're called lenders still, you know. So if value is going to be created, I can pre-fund value at that particular point. I can carry. Now, blockchain is going to be useful for such things, you know, where value is maybe registered through a good received note. If I can have a digital signature, you know, I can capture value at that particular point.
Yes.
And this is the way in which, I mean, if I was to advise fintechs, you know, when they come to me and say, I've got a payment platform, I've got this and that. I mean, I still want to break it down, and my team still want to break it down to, you know, what does that constitute? Are you just taking advantage of ignorance in the market, and which will quickly be disintermediated by somebody who's got a purpose, intention? or are you going to create a real value for the end users or the off-takers? Yeah.
It feels like it's a lot of learning and getting to know what works and testing and back and forth.
Yes, it's a very stressful process. I mean, we use a human-centered design and an agile methodology, and that takes a lot of thinking power and a lot of analytic capabilities. Yeah.
All right, I certainly wish you all the best in that. But help me understand, when you're talking about ticket size, so if I want to come to you and maybe I feel like I have something that could scale, something that could enhance financial intermediation and maybe focusing on the financial sector or any touch points of money in that lending space, what do I need to consider? What are the key considerations, firstly, with regards to ticket size?
Ticket size, our maximum ticket size right now is about $5 million.
Okay.
So we can invest up to $5 million as per our policy. We don't have a minimum, but we normally have to associate a need to what you want to use the money for. So I think if you have a need that's less than $50,000 or $100,000, it may not be that's scalable from our perspective.
All right, fair enough.
And so I would say 50,000 is a tentative minimum. I have a team of people that are beginning to look at projects right now. So we normally don't talk about the amount.
Okay.
We normally talk about what do you want to do and how much it's going to cost.
Okay.
You know, and generally, so far, the values above 50,000 seem to have made more sense.
All right.
Haven't yet reached $1 million requirement right now, but it's, as I said, it requires that's something that we can reach.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you're putting the money, I mean, I understand that it's really a new territory that you're beginning to look into. Do you have a sense of what kind of ownership you'd be looking for? Are you looking for majority stake in these companies, or are you open to having a less majority stake but potentially having influence on the boards? Yeah,
if we're doing an investment, we will normally have a minority.
Okay.
You know, because we will leave the fintech with its whatever its name, its branding, and so forth. We will leave it the way it is. Although we'll partner with them and we'll take them to the countries where we are. We're in 60 or so countries globally. And if there's use case for that solution, we will be able to take it just across various countries. So, so that's an area where we that's a limit for probably investments. But where we are doing a venture, we would probably do 50 or more.
Okay.
You know, and the entity might have a different name. It might acquire different new branding. I can give an example. Actually, in Hong Kong, I haven't had one yet. We have a Dragons Bank, which we have opened and we got licensed.
Oh, wow.
It's just a challenge bank in the lines of Revolut and those challenger banks that have come up globally.
I've heard of it. I just didn't know you were Standard Chartered was associated with it. Very impressive.
No, I'm not associated with Revolut, but in the lines of Revolut, similar to Revolut.
Similar
but similar to. We don't have an interest in Revolut. So those are the kind of solutions that we're looking at from a ventures perspective. Those take a bit longer.
Okay.
I think they'll take typically between minimum. I mean, we're trying to get it short because we're trying to be quick in the market. So maybe about a year and a half, and maybe we'll get better at it at creating a challenger bank type structure. You know, and in the meantime, we're also embedding technology, which is with fintechs. Like you've heard of our digital bank in which started in Cote d'Ivoire.
Yes. And
was launched again in Tanzania, and now we launched here in Kenya and in Uganda as well. So that one is almost like an in-house bank, which we're using technology to accentuate the identity processes and the KYC process. You know, but it still has a lot of standard features.
All right. You know. Brilliant. I mean, there's just a lot to absorb and to understand, but we are coming to the end of our show. Is there anything in particular you'd like to leave us with or to bring up that we did not bring up in the earlier conversation?
No, just to reiterate that we are open to the public. We are, after all, you know, we have acknowledged that you know, the ideation cannot necessarily come from us, but even though for our staff as well, I mean, we are encouraging our staff who are very familiar with our internal processes and systems to identify those catch points where you know we've been doing this in a certain way, and don't you think it's old-fashioned, it's cranky, it doesn't help our customers, people are complaining about it. So we're giving a window to our staff to recommend. We actually have a similar website as I mentioned for the fintech, called the Fintech Bridge, which we call the Entrepreneurship Bridge. So the entrepreneurship means that all the staff in the bank can now, instead of being frustrated about a process, they can vent their frustration on the Entrepreneurship Bridge.
Interesting.
And we will use those frustrations to match them with external parties and say, okay, this is the problem that
external is the Fintech Bridge.
Yes, and so basically we will say, you say that we have a problem in this particular area, there's a fintech that has a solution in this way. And we'll actually invite those entrepreneurs to be part of the review team of the process.
Wow.
And we've had some cases where the staff actually stops working in the usual department and starts working on this investment opportunity. Okay,
thank you very much for coming to our show. I think the takeout here is not necessarily that you can put your money into SC Ventures, but more importantly, there's the Fintech Bridge that is more than willing to identify and see if your ideas in the fintech space make sense for Standard Chartered. So certainly something worth looking out for. Slightly different from what we discussed when you're looking at the banks here, but something worth for your consideration. The fintech space is very exciting. There's no really direct convergence in terms of what is happening, but we are seeing opportunities in the medical space, in the agro space, and generally in the fintech. If you can be able to have an opportunity with regards to the store of value and different touch points of money in the community, and you put it into an idea and use technology to execute it, I'm sure you would be able to get Mr. Kennedy Mbita's ear. Thank you once again for joining us. Again, the NSE remains flat for the day as expected on a Monday, but unexpected news. CS Henry Rotich presents himself to the DCIO for investigations as an arrest warrant goes out for him. No impact yet on the NSE. Let us wait and see what happens tomorrow when the market opens. We'll leave you with the end of day market highlights and see you once again tomorrow. Good evening.